everybody, my name is Keith.
My name is Brian.
And we're going to be covering The Suicide Squad.
The James Gunn anti-hero movie.
Yeah.
The DC Comics sequel to Suicide Squad.
Sequel, reboot,
remake.
You know, whatever they want to do. But they just put in the into the title just to differentiate, you know, between the two.
And let's be honest, this is the definitive Suicide Squad.
Yeah, it's yeah, definitely. Like, there's... Shout out to Cosmonaut Variety Hour. They have this video, like, the worst superhero movie ever, and they covered the original Suicide Squad, which I never really got out to go see, but I saw your video on this, and it convinced me to not watch that film.
Same with Dan Olson for me, Folding Ideas on YouTube.
Yeah.
He did a thing called The Art of Editing in the Suicide Squad, where he breaks down why it's a failure from an editing standpoint.
Yeah.
And it convinced me not to go watch that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and we definitely watched this movie at least 3 times.
I've seen it 4 times now.
Yeah, yeah. So
I saw it twice for the podcast and then twice more just for fun.
Yeah,
because this movie's fun to watch.
Yeah, it is, definitely. Unfortunately, it has a $185 million budget. It only made about $162 million back throughout like 5 weekends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot to do with this, like the Delta variant is out and about now, and then the lack of reception of the original Suicide Squad, like critically speaking, you know.
And I think the simultaneous release on HBO Max is kind of hurting the
also
films.
too, you know, which is why they're not going to do that next year. Obviously,
it's good for consumers, but it's bad for business, I think.
Right, absolutely. So it made 54 of those million in the United States, and it made 108 internationally. Okay. So it did.
And this is not counting the home video market, so it'll get its money back.
It will. It definitely will, because I'm definitely going to buy a copy.
I'm going to buy a copy.
You know, like, this is definitely, if you haven't seen The Suicide Squad, let me again. Yeah.
And we're going to spoil the film.
We will.
And it is a recent film, so, you know, spoiler warning before we get into the plot.
Yes.
We're going to break this movie down top to bottom, start to finish. And
I'm going to get all up in the Suicide Squad's guts.
Oh, yeah, all up in.
You know?
All up in. And it's... totally go see this movie. Highly recommended.
Highly.
This might be on a contender for one of my favorite superhero movies.
You know,
I don't think for me it's up there with Spider-Verse, but it's definitely fighting for second place.
Yeah, in my opinion, I really enjoyed this film. Like, on my flick chart, it's somewhere in the upper hundreds out of 2,000 and some change.
Nice.
So it's definitely a high mark for it. It's a beautiful film, definitely. Cinematographer is Henry Brown. He is from Guardians 2. And he did some work with Legend of Tarzan.
Gotcha.
You know, the live action one from very recent times, 2016, I would think.
James Gunn, the director, also directed Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy series. And this feels like very similar to that sort of, like, you know, fluid.
Yeah.
But it's slightly different. Like, James Gunn, you know, as legend as he is, he did those Guardians films, but he also did Slither, Super... you know, Romeo and Juliet. He wrote the Scooby-Doo film, the live-action Scooby-Doo film.
Well, there's been 3 of them now. Which one?
You know, the
first one?
Yes.
Okay.
There's 3 of them? I've only thought there was 2.
Wasn't Scoob live-action? No, that was CGI, wasn't it? Yeah, no, my bad. Yeah, the Scoob was CGI. So there was Scooby-Doo, the live-action movie, and then the sequel was like Scooby-Doo in the Haunted Theme Park or something.
It was like Monsters Unleashed.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Yeah, he also wrote Dawn of the Dead remake that was directed by Zack Snyder, which is very interesting. The fact that both of those names, you know, connected very highly to DC. Also worked on that film together. Like, it's a very interesting sort of relationship they have.
Very incestuous.
You know, that's one way to put it. And he also wrote The Belko Experiment,
which has been recommended to us multiple times to do on this podcast.
You know,
so I like that idea of doing that one.
You know, someday.
So James Gunn wrote that? Did he not direct it?
No, he didn't. Somebody else directed it. So that's probably part of the reasons why some things didn't happen the way that they should have. But this film in general is just very musical. Like, like on repeat viewings, I have here on my second page the list of the songs of like when they were used. You know, and like I listened to the soundtrack. You know, on like rotation pretty much, you know, pretty consistently. I just love the music in general. John Murphy was in charge of the music. He did the music work for like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Okay.
You know, with Guy Ritchie. You know, Kick-Ass, 28 Days Later. You know, with David Boyle, Danny Boyle.
Now, fair warning, I've got nothing bad to say about this movie.
Yeah.
So, even if you see me acting unenthusiastic about something, right?
Yeah.
Or hear me acting unenthusiastic about something, don't think of it as an unenthusiastic film.
Yeah.
Every bit of this movie is great.
Yeah.
And I just don't have the energy in me to gush about every little tiny speck.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I definitely covered that for sure. I only highlighted 25 of the actors that are featured in this film. So
yeah, I did not know. I knew that the actor was in the movie, but I did not know who voiced the shark until my second viewing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
When I was looking for the actor, I'm like, wait a minute, this person is supposed to be in the movie.
Yeah,
but oh my god,
yeah. I know, it's great.
Oh, so good.
You want to go ahead and start with the plot?
Yeah. So we open up in prison, and there's a guy who is like obviously dangerous. I do not know his name.
Michael Rooker.
Yeah. I mean, I know the actor because he played
Savant.
Yeah, Savant is the character name. Mm-hmm. Okay, he also played Yondu.
Yeah, Yondu in the Guardian series, Merle in Walking Dead.
Yeah,
and he's been in a couple of James Gunn projects like Slither and Super beforehand. So,
okay,
So
he's bouncing a ball, and he's like put X's with tape on the wall.
Yeah,
on like all four walls, and he's bouncing without even looking. He's bouncing it, and it's bouncing off each X, and he's catching it. Mm-hmm. So it's obvious he's really good at like aiming stuff.
Yeah,
right. And there's a bird that lands, and he throws the ball really hard, and it's like 6 bounces later, it smashes the bird.
Yeah,
and that's when the door opens.
And like he's measured like which points of conflict is this ball going to hit, pretty much.
Like
that's what the X's mean, and like he sees the birds there, so he contributes that in his mind. I was like, okay, I'm going to throw this here, so that way it'll just get the bird.
Yeah, it's like 6 bounces later, so this guy's really good at this.
Yeah.
Right? And this is when the door opens to his little, because he's outside, but he's in a walled, this is solitary confinement, but outside. Right. This is so you don't, die of no sun exposure.
Yeah.
He's like, I still got 15 minutes. And the woman who opened the door is Amanda Waller.
Played by Viola Davis. From Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. She kills in this film.
She does. She's really a bitch.
Yeah.
She's like, not anymore, you don't. And so she's like, standard deal, 10 years off your sentence, you survive this mission.
Yeah.
Right. And so she runs the Suicide Squad, or as they prefer to call it, Task Force X.
Yeah, because Suicide Squad is, a little bit diminutive of their character.
And it's basically an expendable Black Ops team.
Yeah.
Made from supervillains.
Yeah.
Who have bombs implanted in the back of their neck, so if they go off mission, she can just blow them up from a distance.
Yeah.
Right, to keep them in line.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of a genius idea. Mm-hmm. When you've got people with these super skills, why not put them to use?
Yeah.
Like, it's voluntary.
Yeah.
Supposed to be voluntary.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's voluntary, but there's pressure.
Waller's a bitch.
Yeah.
But, like, the elevator pitch is a voluntary program where supervillains can use their skills for good in order to earn time off their sentences. Right, which is great. I like that.
Yeah.
So she goes to introduce the B team. Mm-hmm. What I call the B team, mm-hmm. In my notes. It's Savant, it's the Weasel, it's TDK, mm-hmm. it's the Blackguard.
Yeah, Blackguard.
And Rick Flag.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this dude with a javelin. I don't remember his name.
Javelin.
Oh, it's just Javelin?
Javelin.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
And Harley Quinn.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot to cover right there. Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie.
Right.
Who has portrayed Harley Quinn beforehand in everything she's been in.
Yeah.
For the past couple of years, Birds of Prey and the original Suicide Squad. James Gunn decided to carry over a couple of different characters from the original one.
And Flag.
Yeah, Rick Flag, Joel Kinnaman from a lot of TV stuff from All Mankind, but he was also in the RoboCop remake as RoboCop.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn, going back on that. She was Tanya in I, Tonya, and she was Sharon Tate in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and like...
She was also the wife in Wolf of Wall Street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Naomi. She was in Z for Zachariah, so on and so forth. Let's see.
Great actress.
Yeah.
I have heard both that she still wants to do it and that she stepped away from the role. of Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
But I really hope DC just pulls a dump truck full of money up to her house and has her keep doing it, because she's really good at it.
She definitely, like, she encapsulates the character perfectly.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't see any reason why. I mean, aside from general purpose of her not wanting to do it.
Yeah, not wanting to be typecast.
Yeah. TDK is played by Nathan Fillion.
I love Nathan Fillion.
You know, Maul from Firefly and Castle.
Mm-hmm.
He's voiced over Green Lantern and some things, but he was also
a lot of the new Justice League animated movies. Yeah. He plays Hal Jordan. Yeah,
he has also been in both Slither and Super, so he's another one from James Gunn's past.
Yeah.
Jai Courtney is reprising his role as Captain Boomerang.
You know? Oh yeah, I forgot about Captain Boomerang. Yeah, he's there too.
Yeah, Captain Boomerang, he's in there. You know, there's Kyle Reese in Terminator Genesis.
Yeah.
And, you know, Jack McClane Jr. in A Good Day to Die Hard.
Okay.
You know, the fifth one.
Okay, yeah. The one that is less a Die Hard movie than The Fifth Element.
You know.
So, okay.
Blackguard's played by Pete Davidson, who's an actor, comedian.
who is an actor.
He's been on SNL since 2014. He's pretty funny in general. Yeah, he was in Trainwreck. And he was also in this recent film called The King of Staten Island, which I really want to see at some point.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's very autobiographical, more so, you know. Javelin is played by Flula Borg, German. He is Conan O'Brien's DJ.
Oh, okay.
And he also released a song called Self-Care Sunday, featuring Ninja Sex Party.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have not heard that song, and I'm like the world's biggest Ninja Sex Party fan. I have to look that shit up.
You sure will.
Like, I want to pause the podcast and look it up.
Let's see. Weasel is played by Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother, who and Sean Gunn also plays the Calendar Man later on. We'll get to that part whenever we get there. But like as it is person him character, and then the Weasel character that was like a mocap, sort of like him performing the character. But he was like Kraglin in Guardians. You know?
Yeah. James Gunn usually puts his brother in the movies in a supporting role, and he's a really good actor in his own right.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
I first recognized him as Kirk Gleason in Gilmore Girls.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I don't care who knows it, but I like Gilmore Girls.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that.
It's a funny show.
You like Gilmore Girls? I like the original Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And there's Mongol, too. She's played by Mei Lin Yang. Not a lot to say here about her record. She was like behind the scenes in Wonder Woman as Orana.
Okay.
But she is going to be in this film called The Legend of the White Dragon, and she's very much like a martial artist sort of actor.
Yeah, so we now have our Suicide Squad. We have Mongol, we have Javelin, Harley Quinn and Rick Flag, Captain Boomerang, Blackguard, who is like this generic gun dude, and Savant is like their specialist. I don't know. Yeah. So and then TDK, and they cut and Weasel, and they cut to the helicopter where they're flying, and it's like it's Malta Cordova, and you need to infiltrate this and take out their research facility. Yeah, that's your mission, right? So they get landed on the beach, and there's like a couple of funny jokes.
Yeah, like everybody's trying to get to know each other into the helicopter and such, and like Blackguard isn't really like tightening his seatbelt right in the first spot. He's really freaking out that he's standing next to Weasel because
he's like, a fucking dog. I don't do dogs.
He was like, what kind of dog does that look like? You know, I was like, oh, is that a werewolf? I've never seen a werewolf before.
And like Nathan Fillion's like, no, I think it's a mastiff. No. Like, he's just completely, nonchalant.
That's so great.
So they go to jump out of the helicopter, right, to swim in. Yeah. And they all land in the water, and they all start swimming, and then is everybody accounted for? And that's when you hear screaming, and you look up, and Weasel has been pushed out of the helicopter, and he falls to the helicopter, and falls to the ocean, and he's and nobody knows what to do. So Savant is like, oh, fucking amateurs, and he grabs Weasel and drags him to shore.
Yeah, because Rick Flag, he was like, did anybody check whether or not Weasel could swim? Like,
So Weasel is dead, and this bit is interspersed with Amanda Waller's team. Yeah. Right, having a literal Deadpool. Yeah.
Like who's gonna die?
Who's gonna die? Who's gonna get hurt?
I don't have all the team members. A couple of them are gonna make appearances and other things later down the line. But this one in particular, I wanted to make mention of. Team Steve Agee. He's been in some stuff with Sim.
Which one is he?
He is well, the character's name is John, but he kind of looks a little bit like you, more so.
So the big dude with the beard?
The big dude with the beard.
Okay.
Yeah, the big dude with the beard. John Economos.
The one who's like, I am so good at my job, I found him. That guy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, he was Isaac in Superstore, EJ in Brightburn. Like, he's been in some James Gunn stuff beforehand.
Okay.
And he has another role that I'll tell you about later.
Okay.
But one, I was like, man, I know I've seen this guy before, and I was thinking like that he was Brian Posehn's like, you know, boyfriend, partner, husband. I'm not really sure what their relationship is in the Sarah Silverman program. I was like, but there's no way I was him, and I looked up and it was him.
Nice.
So it was great.
So they get to the beach, and they've all taken cover, and then Blackguard stands up.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey guys, it's me. I'm the guy that called you and said we were coming. I get to live, right?
Yeah.
So it turns out that not only is he a traitor and has betrayed the team, but he is the most incompetent motherfucker who ever lived.
That's right. Because
they just immediately shoot him.
Yep.
Right? And then all these floodlights come on, and like the entire Malta Cordova, I think that's the name of the...
Corto Maltese.
Corto Maltese, I'm sorry. The entire Corto Maltese army is like right there on the beachhead waiting for them.
Yeah.
And so it kind of devolves into a slaughter.
Yeah.
Right? They're trying to gain a foothold on the beachhead. Blackguard is down. All of them start showing off their abilities, like TDK, who they joked about. What does TDK mean? What do you mean? What does TDK mean? It means me.
Yeah.
Like, your name is just letters. Well, all names are letters.
Yeah, exactly.
But it means the detachable kid.
Yeah.
Right, but he's 40. So that's
exactly.
Really funny.
Yeah.
He takes off his arms.
Yeah.
Like a freaking G.I. Joe doll.
Yep.
And like kind of maneuvers them floating through the air. And we think he's going to do some really cool stuff. But no, he just like starts like lady slapping some of the dudes.
And I was like, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What is this? You
know?
So
people start getting shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, things start... Mongols like, I'll take out the helicopter.
Yeah, so she jumps on the helicopter, like, flies around, you know? Like,
Captain Boomerang is throwing his boomerangs and cutting people's heads off.
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of making good use of his stuff.
I'm so glad that he got to do that.
Yeah. And Mongol crashes the helicopter, and the explosion... You see from Harley Quinn's perspective, because she has run up and grabbed a machine gun at this point.
Yeah.
You see from her perspective where she's run up to where Javelin has been shot and is laying there.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, Boomer, look out! And the blades of the helicopter come through and just slice Captain Boomerang to pieces.
Yeah.
So he is dead.
Yeah.
He is gone. At this point, everyone on this beach is either dead or dying.
Yeah.
Right? Flag is wounded. Harley is pinned down. Javelin has been shot several times. Weasel died in the ocean. Like, so Savant's like, fuck this, I'm out.
Yep.
He starts swimming away. And Waller's like, get back in there and fight, god damn it! And he won't listen, so she flicks the button and blows his head up.
Yep. And it does this great thing, like, with his blood, too. It was like, Warner Brothers presents.
Yeah,
like,
They do that a few times throughout the film, where they have, like, in-universe elements that show, like, words on the screen.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Like transitions and so on and so forth, like, time frames. Like, it's wonderful.
So... The only survivors of this montage are Harley Quinn, who gets captured, and Javelin is like, hands her the javelin and says, "You're the only one worthy to carry this javelin to," and he dies. To who, asshole?
Yeah, like she slaps him a couple of times. Like she's like,
what
she's
am I carrying this for?
What am I doing this for?
Yeah. And so she gets captured,
mm-hmm.
and Flag has escaped off into the jungle screaming for backup, and he gets captured,
mm-hmm.
and everyone else is dead.
Yep.
And
cut to Team A.
Yeah, the A team, led by Idris Elba as
Bloodsport.
Bloodsport. I can never remember his name.
Robert Dubois is his name, but Bloodsport is his other name.
Milton.
Not that one.
I know. It's a joke.
Not yet. Not yet.
So Bloodsport, and he and his team are on the beach, and this is Bloodsport and King Shark, mm-hmm. and Peacemaker.
Yeah. Polka Dot Man.
The Polka Dot Man and this girl.
Ratcatcher 2.
Ratcatcher 2, yeah.
Yeah.
And they are walking up on the beach, and he's like, I'm not seeing any resistance. And then they hear an explosion, which was the helicopter from the first sequence exploding. And what the hell was that? And Amanda Waller goes, that was just a distraction. You guys are clear to infiltrate the island now.
Right.
So the B team was always to be sacrificed.
Yep.
Like that was their whole point.
Yep.
Right? Which, let's be honest.
The real villain of this movie is Miranda Waller.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We'll
James Gunn.
More so.
James Gunn has some watermelon nuts.
Yeah.
In order to do this.
Yeah.
Take Captain Boomerang and Rick Flag and Harley Quinn, and at this point we think everybody's dead.
You know.
Right? We saw him get, like, surrounded by guns and then cut away. Right? So we don't know if they're alive or dead, but these are some of the main characters from the previous movie.
Yeah.
And they are immediately killed off. He killed off Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
And friggin', like, oh my god, and Jai Courtney, and these are big stars.
Yeah.
Like, these are people who would easily headline a movie like this, killed off in the first 5 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
Just so we can see this team of people who we don't really know that well.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a couple of actors who we recognize.
Right, but like D-list, C-list sort of characters. You know, like, it's...
And this is, it's great. I love this whole premise.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now we get into the A-team, the main team. So Idris Elba, who is from the Thor movies, right?
Yeah, he was Heimdall in the Thor movies, but like...
Could not remember his name.
You know? I mean, I recognize him from Luther. Luther is the thing that introduced me to Idris Elba. You know.
So now we go back in time, like, 3 days.
Yeah.
Right? And so now we see Waller approach him. And can we go through the characters as she approaches him?
Because that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that too.
So she approaches him and he's like, I don't want to join your stupid Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And she's like, long story short, his daughter got arrested for shoplifting and is going to be put in jail because she's going to make sure the book gets thrown at her if he doesn't join her team.
Pretty much, yeah.
And she's like, I'm gonna forge you into a leader. I know you've got the skills.
Yeah. Daughter Tyla, played by Storm Reed. Recognize her from A Wrinkle in Time or Euphoria.
Yeah.
And The Invisible Man. You know, he's a good little kid actor.
Yeah.
You know, I could see her doing a lot of great things.
Oh, yeah.
On the line.
Totally. So, all right, fine, I'll join. So let's meet the rest of your team.
Yeah.
So let's, first one we meet is Peacemaker. And she had originally described
Peacemaker?
Bloodsport.
Yeah.
Bloodsport as you know, he's anything in his hands is a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
And he's super skilled at combat, and he's an expert marksman in all ways. As they're walking to introduce him to the team, she's like, "You've all been chosen for your unique skills to put on this mission.
Right.
So let's meet Peacemaker, who anything in his hands is a deadly weapon. And he's an expert marksman." It's the exact same description.
Person, you know.
And he says, "Is this a fucking joke?
Yeah.
This is me. He does what I do."
Yeah.
And this is Peacemaker,
played by John Cena,
who is a really good actor.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't think so. He's a wrestler, but like, he's a really good actor.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but like, you know,
wrestling is acting.
Yeah, exactly. Like Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Was a wrestler first, and now he's an actor. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, you think about wrestlers going to movies, and you think about like Hulk Hogan and the really crappy movies he did.
Yeah.
You know, this is not good. Yeah. You know, but then like John Cena is just really good. He's really got really good comedic timing.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah. Yeah, he was in Trainwreck. That was what James Gunn first saw him in, and was like, "Oh, I definitely want you to be in, you know, a movie at some point in time."
John Cena? The first movie I saw John Cena in was, I don't remember the name of it, but the premise was he was a dad, and like all their kids had made a pact to lose their virginity on prom night, and so they went on a quest to stop their kids from having sex.
Neighbors.
Was that?
I think that's what it's called.
Maybe, I don't remember what it was called, but he was good in that too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been good in that. F9. And for you, he also voiced Baron Draxum. He's like a character on the Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series.
Nice.
Yeah, so if that does anything for you,
I love me some Turtles. I actually haven't seen that series, but I do love me some Turtles, and it's on my list.
So yeah, Baron Draxum, whoever that is in that, you know.
I will look out for it.
Yeah.
So this is Peacemaker, and they get into kind of a contest, and he's like, "I'm better than you." He's like, he does what I do, but I do it better. How? I'm already a perfect marksman. I use smaller bullets.
Yeah, I hit it more in the center.
Yeah, how do you do that? Smaller bullets.
Yeah.
So they move on, and now we meet Ratcatcher 2, and he's like, "Well, why can't we have Ratcatcher 1?" Well, he's dead.
Yeah.
So this is his daughter.
Yeah. We'll get more into that specific one later on down the line.
Yeah.
But Cleo Caso is the character's name as well. But the actress is Daniela Melio. I don't know. Melchior. I think that's right. Daniela Melchior. She did the Portuguese voice of Spider-Gwen in the Spider-Verse.
Nice.
Portuguese dub. But she's just done a lot of TV. This is really her debut.
Oh, she's good.
Yeah.
She's really good.
Yeah.
So, and she can control rats, and she has a rat named Sebastian.
Yeah.
Who kind of lives on her shoulder and wears like a vest. Who looks like, and I don't know if this was intentional, but he kind of looks like a Pixar movie. Kind of looks like Remy from
Ratatouille.
Ratatouille. Thank you. Names escape English. It's my first language, and I can't speak it.
Yeah. What's that rat movie that Pixar did?
It's like Rat. I wanted to say Spirited Away. That's not even Pixar. It has nothing to do. This is how my brain works. He waves at the Bloodsport. And he's like, "Is that rat waving at me? I'm not shaking hands with a fucking rat."
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we move on and we meet King Shark.
Yeah, not in a way.
Who is some say he's related to an ancient shark god.
Yeah.
He's pretty much bulletproof and he's super strong.
Yeah. Obviously he's going to be voiced by somebody who's bulletproof and strong, Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. Which this is the character I did not know who voiced Nanaue until the second viewing of this movie, because I saw in the credits Sylvester Stallone and I'm like,
yeah.
Where's he in this movie? I remember him being in the credits, but I didn't see him anywhere. Turns out he was the shark, and he's really good.
Also, that actor I was mentioning to you earlier, Steve Agee, that guy that was pretty much like you, he was the on-set version of King Shark.
Oh.
Like, he was him and then, like, this...
In the mocap suit.
in the mocap suit. And,
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
So then we meet Polka Dot Man, who's the last member of their team.
Yes. I just lost him. Abner Krill. They had something around his neck, like kind of like.
What's that on his neck? It's a power dampener.
You know. And then, of course, you're gonna get Calendar Man in the background. Who's like, "Oh, are you gonna go to some parties? You dick." Something along those lines.
Interesting note: the power dampener used in this scene is, and I know I'm doing plot and you're doing background, but I'm a massive fan of the CW DC Comics series. And the power dampener around the neck is one of the ones that's used by Argus in the Flash and Arrow series.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
It's the same prop. So they don't mention that it's from Star Labs or Argus, but that kind of leads me to think that with that and with in the Flash Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover, there was a scene with the Flash from the movies. Who showed up and he and the Barry Allens met each other for like one scene. So they're a multiverse, but they share continuity.
Right.
So I thought that was really a cool little nod back to the CW series, definitely. The power dampener. Yeah. I know it's a little thing, and people who aren't steeped in it won't notice it, but I thought it was really cool.
That is pretty cool, actually. Yeah, Polka Dot Man. He is played by David Dastmalchian. He's been in some stuff beforehand, like he was. On the Ant-Man series as Kurt. He was part of the crew. He was one of the Joker's mob of people in The Dark Knight. You know. But he will play Peter DeFries in Doom.
Nice.
I could definitely see that character playing Peter that well.
Yeah, and it takes a good actor to play someone as neurotic as Polka Dot Man, and he pulls it off with aplomb. Yeah. So good on him. Yeah. So now we have our team. We have Bloodsport, we have Polka Dot Man, we have Nanaue, we have Peacemaker, and we have Ratcatcher, right? And so they have landed on the beach, and so now they are walking through this jungle at night. And he's like, okay, we're going to make camp here, and we're going to wait for morning where we're going to infiltrate the city. Yeah. And this is when he gets told that by Waller that the next morning, the first stop they have to make is to rescue Flag. Yeah, because the guy has found Rick Flag's transponder signal, right, and he's being held somewhere in the jungle with them. Yeah. So it's now they're camping. It's the middle of the night. Bloodsport wakes up, and he sees that King Shark has very quietly picked up Ratcatcher 2 and has her head in his mouth. Right. And is about to bite down, and he immediately pulls out his gun, which is this cool little, like, nanotech style contraption.
Yeah. Yeah, like his whole outfit goes into this gun, basically. Like, he's the Inspector Gadget of, like, shooting people, basically. Yeah,
so he pulls it out. When he pulls it out, it's just like a little pistol. Mm-hmm. And then he takes a thing off his chest, and it becomes like a long handgun. Yeah. And he takes another thing off, and it becomes like a rifle. Right. And it's really, like, a really cool way of doing it. And he shoots Nanaue a few times. Shoots King Shark a few times, too. And it was joked about how heavy a sleeper Ratcatcher was. But earlier, when they went to get her for the team, and she's like, 5 more minutes. Like, you know. But
this one really, like, hammers on, like, no, she's a heavy sleeper.
Yeah, real heavy. Because like, after this whole sequence, Peacemaker's like, how heavy of a fucking sleeper are you? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah. So, Bloodsport shoots Nanaue a bunch of times with his rifle and gets him to drop her. And he's got King Shark, like, up against a tree. Right. He's holding a gun on him. And Ratcatcher's like, don't kill him. And so she talks to him. And she's like, I don't believe he was going to eat me. And Nanaue's like, well, nom-noms. You know? Yeah. Like, earlier in the film, when they first introduced Nanaue, he was reading a book. But he was holding it upside down. Yeah. And he was like, much read. Very good book. Yeah. He's really dumb.
You know, and like everybody in the meeting, they had this little, like, slideshow on the screen, you know.
Yeah, and talking about the Jotunheim, the facility they need to destroy.
Yeah, Jotunheim. Yeah. And then, you know, everybody has their questions, and of course, King Shark raises his hand, and he was like,
yes, Nanaue. Yes, Nanaue. Very good. That is your hand. I know. But anyway, Ratcatcher's like, you wouldn't eat your friends, would you, Nanaue? Would you, Nanaue? And he's like, Nanaue, no friends. Yeah. You don't have any friends? No. It's like, would you like us to be your friends? And Nanaue looks around at, like, Peacemaker and Bloodsport, who both have guns pointed at him. Yeah. And he's like, yes? Yeah. Just the delivery of that line is so perfect.
Yeah.
And at this point, we have also seen Polka Dot Man, who is covered in, like, glowing. It looks like the effects out of a B movie, like it's supposed to, like from the 50s. Yeah. Like a sci-fi movie. Mm-hmm. Glowing polka dots. And he, like, vomits up, you know, a rainbow of colors. Yeah. Into, like, a ditch somewhere. And so they ask him, what's your deal? It's an interdimensional virus. You know?
Yeah. It's like, I was like, what?
It's like, I have to release it or it'll kill me. You know?
My mom experimented on me and all of my, you know, brothers and sisters.
Yeah, and, she really wanted us to be superheroes.
You know? The mother, because of, like, well, I mean, you know, I just see my mother everywhere pretty much. And, like, the mother character was, like, stand-in for every single character that, you know, Polka Dot Man sees, you know?
Oh, yeah, and at that scene, he's like, after he explains it, I'm sorry, we're cutting back a little bit, so I interrupted you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
After they explain it, Bloodsport is like, we're all gonna die. And Polka Dot Man goes, I hope so. Yeah. How creepy is this motherfucker?
Really? Like, you're the crazy one, like, that's for sure. I was like, but I see my mom everywhere pretty much. And like, everybody looks like her. Played by Lynn Ash. She hasn't been in so many things, but she's in Doom Patrol as Carol. And she was recently, like, a background extra in, like, Fear Street 1666, you know. She was Sean's mother in I, Tonya, so it's, okay. You know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So King Shark has now agreed not to eat them. Yeah. And they all go back. And during this whole scene, Peacemaker is just standing there in tighty whities. Yeah. It's just hilarious. Where were we?
Oh, you're just trying to John Cena's package.
Yeah, okay. During this whole sequence, Peacemaker has been standing there in just some tighty whities. Yep. And I don't know if he stuffed it or not, but let's just say John Cena is not hurting in the manhood department.
Yeah. I don't think he'd be stuffed. I don't know. I have my doubts.
Yeah, so they kind of make a joke about that. Yeah. So anyway, so it's the next morning, and the mission now is to find Flag. Yeah. Right? You know, he is at this and this location, you're at this and this location. he's been captured by the enemy. You know, kill everyone you see.
Yeah.
Right. So they break into this camp of soldiers, and as they're going through, it's kind of like a one-up game between Bloodsport and Peacemaker as to how they're killing people.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's like he shoots a guy in the head and without looking, and so Peacemaker puts the gun behind him and shoots a guy and hits him in the shoulder, and Bloodsport is like, well, it's not even a fatal wound. Yeah. You know, you missed. He goes,
yes, non-lethal doesn't count. I'm like, oh, hold on 1 second. You know,
exploding rounds. Yeah. Boom, and the guy's whole torso explodes.
What about a show off?
Yeah, he's like, it's not showing off if it's fucking epic.
Fuck.
He's right.
Right.
It's great.
You know.
So they're walking through, and King Shark is just nomming on people, and like they walk past a dude who's asleep on a cot, and without even looking, Peacemaker just pulls out a hatchet and is just like cut. It just cuts the guy to pieces.
Yeah.
Polka Dot Man unleashes his polka dots to burn someone to death and bring down a guard tower.
Like a watchtower, and people fall over pretty much. You know.
So they have murdered everyone with all these cool. Somebody gets eaten by a swarm of rats. Right. It's basically, let's show off all our powers.
Yeah.
Right. And so they have murdered everyone in this camp, and they come up on the tent where they find Flag, who is drinking and talking amiably with the leader of what turns out to be the resistance against the Corto Maltese army.
Yes. Sol Solaria, played by Alice Braga. I recently saw her in this film I saw earlier this month, City of God, as Angelica. Okay. Like, she's great. You know, she was also in I Am Legend.
Okay.
And she recently played Dr. Cecilia in the New Mutants.
Oh, okay. Okay,
you know?
Cool.
Yeah.
So they're like, Flag is like, this is the resistance, and then she's like, you killed everyone? You know?
Yeah.
And Flag is like,
how did my team not even like let me know?
Yeah, how did the guards not tell me you were here?
Yeah.
You know, I didn't see any guards.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah.
And then now it goes, they were nom.
Yeah, just
so
spitting out a shoe.
Yeah. So Flag is like, look, I know this is bad and these guys are amateurs, but can you help us infiltrate the city?
Right.
And she's like, I've dedicated my life to overthrowing this government, so even if that means making a deal with the devil, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So she offers to help them infiltrate the city.
Yeah.
And so she does. And this is when we find out that Harley Quinn has been captured and not killed, and she's being held in like a pit.
Mm-hmm.
And they drag her out, and we think she's off to be tortured, but really they give her a dress to put on. So she puts on this dress, and she's kind of confused, and this is when she meets the main leader of the guy who overthrew the Corto Maltese government.
Yeah, Presidente Silvio.
Right.
You know, played by Juan Diego Balto. And it was in The Dancer Upstairs. You know, It's a great drama. But he also played Felipe in the Zorro TV series.
Oh, okay, cool.
You know.
So he's like, you know, let me. I've always wanted to meet you. Let me get to know you. And so they go on like this montage of dates around the palace.
Yeah.
Like going on a dates.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they go see his birds and they see a bunch of flowers and it's really this kind of cool, like, falling in love montage.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you know, will you marry me? The people won't respect me as their leader until I have a wife, and I can't think of anyone better suited to be my wife in my new anti-American government than you.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, you're so fucking hot!
Yeah.
And she jumps on him and they have sex.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so they're done with the act, and she's like, Harley Sylvia. I like the sound of that.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts talking about how he has met the monster. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, a scene earlier, and I skipped this. That's my fault.
Yeah, Project Starfish.
Yeah, Project Starfish is the reason they were sent to stop.
Right.
And we find out through watching old footage of astronauts that Project Starfish is a space starfish that has been captured. And then they go to talk to Gaius Grays.
Mm-hmm. Yes, played by Peter Bacaldi.
The Doctor.
You know,
Yeah.
Also, like he's also called the Thinker, but Gaius Gray's is like his legitimate name. The Doctor 12, the 12th Doctor Who.
Technically 13th, but we'll not get into that.
We won't, I suppose.
Doctor Who is super complicated as far as the numbers of the Doctors.
But yeah, he was also Aslan in the Dangerous Liaisons. Malcolm Tucker in the Loop, and Mr. Curry in Paddington. Yeah. So
he's a really good actor.
Yeah.
Really a good actor. He's good in this film, and he's really good comedic timing. Mm-hmm. And if you want to know just a tour de force of acting for him, look up. There's a 2-part Doctor Who episode called Heaven Sent and Hell Bent.
Okay.
Look those up. And the first one is it's just him acting against nothing for the whole show, an hour of television.
Okay.
And it might be one of my favorite hours of television ever produced. He's really good.
Interesting.
So he talks about Starro. He calls him Starro the Conqueror.
Yeah.
It's this starfish who exudes little mini versions of himself that are still like a hive mind with the original.
Yeah.
Who then infiltrate like facehuggers, like from Alien, and take over someone's body. Mm-hmm. Right? And so he's like, the old government, the old ruling family would throw their political enemies down here, and so I could feed them to Starro.
Right.
And I'm the only one who can control it. And so Silva's like, well, welcome to the team.
Yeah.
So Silva is talking about this monster that he's seen. He's like, anyone who stands opposed to me, I will throw them and their families and their families' families and anyone who's ever sold them bread to the monster, and everyone
all their kids.
Yeah. All the kids will die screaming to fear the name of Silva. Bang.
Yeah.
And it turns out Harley has pulled a gun and shot him dead. Shot him in the heart.
Yeah.
Right? And she kind of follows him across the room as he's trying to crawl away. And she's like, look, after my last boyfriend, I made a promise to myself that the first time I saw a red flag, I would deal with the situation in the mature way possible of just murdering him.
Yeah. The best way possible.
And I'm going to miss you, and I'm really going to miss that hog between your legs.
Yeah.
But you just, killing kids is kind of a red flag, and I just got to be true to myself,
Yeah.
Yeah. So they and then she looks down at this pistol that she's this old timey antique revolver.
Yeah.
Why was this loaded?
I'm surprised it was loaded. Like it had a bullet in it.
Yeah, and then the army breaks in and has her.
Yeah.
And captures her.
Yeah.
Right. So now Silva's general, who is
Silvio.
I'm sorry.
Silvio's general, Juarez, played by Joaquin Cusio.
Yeah.
He
becomes the president.
Yeah, he becomes the president, because, the president's, done away with. He was Scorpion in Spider-Verse.
Oh, okay.
Meshing that voice with that. You could see that.
I like that. So he becomes president, and he decides they're going to torture Harley for information. Mm-hmm. Right? So they've infiltrated the city, and now they have a new mission because they hear... They've infiltrated the city, and they hear from the bus driver that the former president's new bride has been captured and is being tortured.
Yeah.
And it's Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
And so Flag is like, okay, we have a new mission. Mm-hmm. And find Harley. Shows up in big flaming letters.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so they go to the building where she is being tortured. She's, chained up to the ceiling, and she's being shocked with a car battery, and how many Americans are on the island? 69.
How did he get 69 Americans on this island?
You said 69.
She really.
Yeah, nice.
Really took her serious. It's like 69. That's impossible. There's no way you put 69 Americans on this island. You know?
And so the Generalissimo walks away, leaving the torturer behind, and he turns around to fiddle with his equipment or whatever, and that's when Harley...
Yeah, because she was assumed to be knocked out at this point.
Yeah, because but it turns out she was faking it.
Yeah.
Because she kind of lifts herself up and grabs him around the neck with her legs, and he twists around just in time, so his face is directly between her legs. And if I have to die, that's how I want to die.
Yeah.
But she breaks his neck, and then she uses her foot to get his keys off his belt, and she lets herself out. And then she starts to... she picks up his gun, and she starts fighting her way out of the facility, and she's shooting people, and then she sees Javelin's javelin up against the wall.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, there it is! And she picks it up, and she uses it in this really kick-ass fight scene.
Yeah.
Like, very John Wick-esque.
Yeah.
You know.
Very stylized, like, there's...
Oh, yeah. There's cartoon butterflies flying around whenever she stabs somebody. It's really a really visually appealing sequence.
Yeah.
And so she's escaping the building. Meanwhile, we cut to the A Squad, and they're talking about how, we're going to go up here, and we're going to go through this window, and we're going to infiltrate, you take out the guards, and then we're going to do this, and this is the super detailed plan.
Bird. Now get off the comms.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
And then we're going to get the target, and then we're going to get out. And that's when you hear, ooh, who's the target? And Harley Quinn is standing behind Bloodsport.
Yeah.
And Peacemaker is like halfway up the wall at this point. Yeah. Like old Adam West Batman style, like rappelling up the side of the wall. And he's like, well, we're here to rescue you. That's so sweet. I could go back in and you can still do it.
Yeah.
So now it's time to capture the Thinker. Mm-hmm. Right. So they go to his favorite nightclub, and they all have a few drinks, and everything. It's like, could be our last night on Earth. So they all have a few drinks, and they capture the Thinker.
Except for King Shark, of course. King Shark has to stick.
Yeah, he has to stay in the bus because
stay in the bus because
he's very noticeable. Yeah,
he's very noticeable.
Yeah, he stands out.
Yeah.
And so they capture the Thinker. This is when the Thinker, they're on the roof, and he's talking about, this is what's going to happen. You're going to help us do this. If you call for help, if you do this, if you do that, you're going to die.
Right.
And Harley is just like jumping in. If you eat meringue pie, you're going to die. Or just random stuff. Like, she's just being her normal self.
If you got out-of-date license plates, you're going to die.
Yeah. So, you're going to get us into this building.
Yep.
Right. Now, there was an escape sequence where Peacemaker and Flag and Bloodsport had been captured from the building when they got away with... When the rest of the team got away with the Thinker.
Yeah,
right.
Much. Like, basically, they split the team between the people that knows they can get themselves out of that situation and the people that wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, so Ratcatcher and Harley and them took the Thinker out while Bloodsport, Flag, and Peacemaker made their escape from the prison transport bus, right? By, like, just this really
Harley
cool...
Harley wasn't with them in that club.
This was before that?
Slightly, but, like... It's kind of interspated in there, like because the part where the thing like falls over itself and it says Operation Harley.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. I'm getting the timing a little mixed up,
but it's okay.
So anyway, they escape the truck with this really cool, like, they call it the touch of death, and the guard is like, touch of death is just a myth. He goes, that's what they say. That's what who says? Amateurs. And on one, and then they all just immediately
kill the person in front of them.
They kill the person in front of them with headbutts and then snap the... And so they escape, and now we're on a rooftop, and this is when we have the scene where if you have expired license plates, you die, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So now we get into the facility, right? And the team splits up, and we follow the Thinker and Ratcatcher and Peacemaker downstairs.
Yeah.
And the Thinker introduces them to Sorrow, who in the meantime has grown to be, 40 stories tall. From a starfish that was just a little bit bigger than a person in that original film.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know why you're here, but you're not here to stop this because this is an American project. It was American scientists who funded it. It was American astronauts who brought it back.
Spoilers,
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. Like, I should have expected that, but I was like, wow.
Yeah. That's pretty fucked up.
Ooh, yeah. And Rick Flag was with them too.
Yeah, and Flag was downstairs too. Yeah,
because there's this the little disk drive with all the information on it.
Yeah, like all the evidence of it. And Flag is like, fuck this. I'm doing this to help my country, and now I find out that they're behind this shit.
Yep.
And Waller's like, destroy that drive. Yep. That your orders are very clear. Destroy that drive. And he's like, no, I'm gonna send this to the public. I'm gonna put it to the press. And, no, Waller's not talking to him. I'm sorry.
Not yet.
She had given them orders to go in, and Peacemaker pulls the gun on Flag. Does it. And he's like, I can't allow you to do that.
Yeah.
I can't allow you to cause an international incident. I'll do anything to keep the peace.
That's right.
Anything
to keep the peace.
And
Even murdering you.
Yeah, he and Flag get in a fight.
Yeah.
And it's a good fight.
Yeah.
But Flag loses. Yeah. And he dies. Peacemaker kills him by cutting his heart open with like he stabs him just deep enough that like the top end of a heartbeat.
Like part of a tile, like floor, pretty much.
Yeah, like a floor tile. Because in the middle of their fight, there's an explosion.
Yeah.
Right, and Starro escapes.
Yeah. Or
starts to escape, and the whole building is rumbling. He grabs a floor tile, and he manages to cut Flag just deep enough to where on the upbeat of his heart, it like splits it open.
Yeah.
And so we see like 3 heartbeats where the tear gets wider each turn. And it's really a really cool visual aesthetic. It really harkens back to the Trauma days. Mm-hmm. But it's so Flag is dying.
Yeah.
Right? And Peacemaker is now hunting down Ratcatcher, who escapes crawling through a tunnel where Sebastian shows her where the tunnel is.
Yeah.
Right? And after the explosion, the Thinker sits up, and he looks out, and he sees that the glass in Starro's cage is broken.
Yeah.
You fools, what have you done? And he starts to run away, and the tentacles come out and grab him.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, I understand. Mistakes were made, but I think we can move past it, and we can get on the right foot, and I was wrong, and I admit that, and he tears him in half.
Like, it was so great.
It was awesome.
You know?
And come to find out, we found out earlier that Starro can talk through the people who wear the starfish heads.
Yeah.
Right? And so he's like, we've been down here for years where he tortured me and murders me and had his way with me.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a pervert.
Yeah, he's a pervert, and then he kind of looks at the camera and shrugs with a grin on his face.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Yeah.
And so Starro has revenge.
Yeah.
And Ratcatcher has almost escaped Peacemaker, and Peacemaker catches up to her in like this big where the building is starting to fall.
Yeah.
But it's like kind of an open air area.
Yeah.
And then he's got the gun pointed directly at her head.
Just destroy the drive. Why you kill me?
Yeah, he's like, no witnesses.
Because I'm thorough.
Yeah. And then we cut to 8 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
Right? And now we see what Bloodsport and Nanaue and Polka Dot Man have been up to. Mm-hmm. Right? So, and Harley. So they're up in the upper areas setting explosives, right? To blow up the building. And this is where Nanaue sees a fish tank with these cool looking alien jellyfish.
Yeah.
And they like form together in a Finding Nemo-esque school of that looks like Nanaue, and it waves at him as he waves, and he's like, "No dumb friends." Yeah. He's like, it's so good.
Yeah, it's so great.
And he has made a plastic explosive in the shape of
Peacemaker.
No, it wasn't Peacemaker.
It was.
It was Peacemaker.
Yeah, because Peacemaker was talking and was like, oh, "God damn it, Nanaue! It's actually really precious. I really appreciate that. Thank you." You know.
I guess that was before they went downstairs.
That was before they split up. Pretty much. Yeah.
So they get attacked by guards.
Yep. And
Polka Dot Man's like, "I got this," and he starts shooting his polka dots off.
Before that happens, though, because the guards come out and attack this group, this split up group, and somebody dies. His name is Milton. He was there the whole time. He was the bus driver.
I forgot about that.
How could you forget about Milton?
The most important character in the movie. I'm so sorry, Milton.
He got them empanadas, like...
Right, come on.
He's actually played by Julio Ruiz. He was the big wasted dude in Preacher, pretty much. You know, he's been in SWAT and Vice Principals, but he's just great. He's just a great, person to have there.
Yeah.
And of course, they're gonna have this whole huge discussion. Polka Dot Man was like, Milton was with us this whole time. He was gonna help us out, and Bulger's like, what was he gonna do? Like, I'm like, he was out there with the bus.
And Harley Quinn's like, who the fuck is Milton?
Yeah.
So, then Polka Dot Man's like, I got this, and he shoots off his polka dots at the guards.
Yeah.
Which accidentally sets off the explosives early.
Right, because, Milton was probably carrying some of the explosives with him, and whenever he got shot.
And so there's the boom.
Yeah.
Right, that we saw from downstairs.
Yeah.
And so the building starts to collapse, and there's like this big daring escape where they have to jump across, things like that. Bloodsport lands on like some unstable floor, and he's like, okay, I'm fine. But then the floor collapses, and he falls one story. He stops. He's like, am I good? Am I good? And then it falls again. Mm-hmm. And so he like falls like 9 or 10 stories down into the basement. And as he's falling, it cuts back to Peacemaker holding the gun on Ratcatcher. Yeah. And suddenly here comes Bloodsport in the ceiling just crashing down, and he lands.
Yeah.
Right? And he meets Peacemaker's eyes, And like, this is it. This is the showdown. Because earlier, Bloodsport had been like, talking to Ratcatchers, like, I promise I'll get you out of here alive. Right.
Yeah, they really bonded on the bus together whenever they opened up about their past, you know?
Yeah. And so, Bloodsport pulls his gun, and Peacemaker shoots, and at the same time, and the bullets are coming at each other, and they're obviously going to hit and collide in midair, except that Bloodsport's bullet is smaller and drills through the center of Peacemaker's bullet and out the other side and hits him in the throat.
Yeah.
Right? And Peacemaker's like, how? Smaller bullets.
It was great.
It's a great callback.
You know, like the whole building like fell apart, you know, the first half of it came down, and like at one point, because King Shark, he was in the room with the jellyfish and stuff, and like it got broken open, and you know he's like flying around in this water, he's swimming around with all these little jellyfish from earlier, and I was like, oh, this is great, you know, all his friend. No, they're not your friends.
No,
they're gonna jump on your skin.
They are very mean.
They're gonna eat you alive, like little piranha. And like first time I saw this movie, I was like, oh god.
Yeah,
you know,
because he starts getting hurt.
He gets like a lot of blood.
He's trying to rip them off, and they're pulling blood out, and they're just really nasty and teeth everywhere.
You know,
and he rolls down. And as the building collapses, he falls out of the building from like 5 stories up and just collapses in a heap on the ground in front of everybody. And they immediately, and all the army dudes just start shooting him.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
And then the ground starts shaking. And King Shark wakes up.
Yeah.
So he didn't die. Yay, he didn't die.
Yeah, he didn't die. And then he bit off somebody's like head. And,
he bit off their whole torso.
Like, well, no, that too. But like, there was somebody else. You know, he bit off the head, and like the person's eyes was like rolling around back and forth. You know, while the head was in his mouth, pretty much. You know, that was a pretty great visual. But you know, go ahead.
Yeah, that was the Generalissimo guy.
Yeah.
Who had his eyes rolling back and forth, right?
No, he shows up because he gets taken over because he gets taken on.
Yeah,
and then there's a quote from him that I want to point out whenever that happens.
So anyway, the Nanaue starts eating his way through the armed forces, and then everything starts shaking.
Yeah.
Right? And Ratcatcher's like, he killed Flag, talking about Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Right? So they're all trying to escape. They're all getting out, and Ratcatcher hands Bloodsport the drive.
Yeah. And
tells him what's on it.
Yeah.
Right? And so they're escaping. They're making their getaway when suddenly the rest of the building collapses, and now here comes Starro, the Conqueror. You know, 30 stories high, a giant starfish monster with one big eye in the middle. And this is a great visual representation of this comic book villain, Starro the Conqueror, who has always been kind of silly in the comics, but when you think about it, is like one of the most existential horror Cthulhu-esque monsters ever.
Yeah, like a hive mind, you know.
Yeah, a hive mind that takes people's over, and it's huge and indestructible, and oh my god.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember, this is one of my favorite scenes with that guy you were talking about. He's like, we got a fucking kaiju up in this bitch!
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Starro shows up, and now there's all the troops and the Suicide Squad are kind of mixed together on the ground now. And and they all start shooting at Starro.
Yeah. And
he sends out his little starfish minions to kind of like attach people. And Ratcatcher pulls her helmet down and says, cover your faces! And so, pretty much everyone in the vicinity except for the Suicide Squad gets captured. Gets their thing stuck on their face.
Yeah. And
becomes a Starro. And then someone says, someone turns to them wearing a starfish on their face and says, this city is mine! And Starro starts to, smash his way towards the city.
Yeah.
And this is when Waller's like, did you get the drive? Yeah. Mission accomplished. Get out of there.
Yeah.
The U.S. government will see the destabilization of Corto Maltese as a good thing, actually.
Yeah.
Right? So they start to leave. And Ratcatcher's like, are we just going to leave like this? And that's when they stop. And Bloodsport turns around. Get back on mission, goddammit! And so he turns to walk back. And then one by one, they all turn to walk back. And they're like, okay, we got to go fight this monster.
Yeah.
We can't let
I
this
knew
monster...
Sebastian sensed some good in you.
Yeah.
Like they all turn back around.
Yeah, even Nanaue's like, go help friends. Right? And and Polka Dot Man is the last one to turn around, and he's like, I'm going to be a superhero.
Yeah.
And he turns around and he goes back to fight, and Waller's about to hit their blow-up buttons. And she's like, God damn, she's losing her shit.
Yeah.
I said turn back, god damn it, you will listen to me.
You dumb pieces of shit.
And she reaches for the buttons, and then whack! One of her minions has smacked her in the back of the head with a golf club.
Yeah, one of the other employees. And, like, that's great, too, because there's a callback. You know, Amanda Waller was, like, practicing golf in the office.
Yeah.
You know,
I got golf with Senator What's-His-Name in a few days, and I'm going to look the fool.
Yeah, I'm going to look like the fool. And then, yeah, and now you're getting knocked out with this golf club. Like, it's great.
Yeah, so she gets knocked out, and the comms go silent for a minute. What did you do? And she kind of points at the screen and goes, like, it's like the look on her face sells it all, and then the guy jumps back. So the monster is headed down this avenue, and so now the team is on their side.
Yeah, the team's taken over for, you know, the purpose of humanity.
Yeah.
Like.
So now we get the big fight between the Suicide Squad and Starro the Conqueror. Yeah. So Bloodsport pulls out, like, every bit of his gun. Like, with a full-on, like, a blender attachment at the end of it. Yeah. He starts shooting exploding rockets. And Polka Dot Man is firing his polka dots at him at full blast and, like, chews through his foot. But when he looks, he's like, Harley, take the high ground. This is Bloodsport. Says, Harley, take the high ground. And she does. And he turns to Ratcatcher and says, Ratcatcher, get us some help. And she does. And he turns to Polka Dot Nanawe and says, Nanawe! Points it at the Starro. Nom noms! Right?
Monster is nom noms.
Yes.
Nom noms.
So Nanawe goes running. No. And then he points to Polka Dot Man and goes, hey, you know who that is? He points at the monster. Who? That's your mom!
Yep.
And now we see the mom is Starro.
Yeah.
Like this giant version of the mom is crushing buildings and stuff.
That's so great.
So he turns on his things full blast and he shoots the things out and he tears through one of the Starro's legs. Like tears off a piece of his leg. Yeah. And he's screaming. And all the people who are attached to Starro are screaming.
Yeah.
In agony.
Yeah, they feel the pain.
And at this point, this is when you see that shot from the trailers. It's Polka Dot Man going, I'm a fucking superhero!
Yeah.
Smash! Starfish limb, crushes him dead.
Yeah.
So Polka Dot Man is gone.
Yeah.
But they continue the fight. They're running through the streets and they're fighting and Ratcatcher's trying to get civilians out of the way and Bloodsport keeps shooting him and shooting Starro and to keep his attention. King Shark is jumping up and tearing pieces out. And Starro manages to whip him off with a tentacle and throw him through a building. Yeah. And so we think King Shark is gone at this point.
You know, and then like he breaks down part of this building where Harley Quinn was at. Yeah. You know, so Harley Quinn fell down for a minute, you know.
Yeah. But then she gets up and she's on the edge of this building and there's a ramp leading to Starro's eye.
Yeah.
And she's like, I know what I've got the javelin for.
Yeah.
Right? And so she takes off running and she leaps forward. And as she's doing this, the Starro's people are like, this city is mine! This city is mine! And Ratcatcher goes, no. This city isn't yours. This city isn't ours. This city is theirs.
Yeah.
And she hits the button and fucking a river of rats just comes out of everywhere.
Yeah.
Like millions and millions of little rats.
And a detail we skipped over earlier, Bloodsport is afraid of rats.
Yeah, he's got a rat phobia.
He's got a rat phobia, you know. And
So he's like,
all these rats are right here.
He's hunkered down with his hands over his head, and he's like in the fetal position, and the rats, the river is climbing over him, and you know.
Yeah, like the real sweet detail I noticed, like Ratcatcher like puts his arm around Bloodsport. He can just kind of support his friend. I was like, look, I need to do this right now, but I've got you. Yeah, you know, you're my friend.
Yeah. So the rats start climbing up Starro and attacking, right? Biting. They bite into where King Shark had torn a chunk out. They start biting all the little bits. When Starro opens up to let out his minions again, the rats start crawling into his sides. And this is when Harley leaps off of the building with the javelin, and javelin first goes into dead center Starro's eyeball. Yeah. Right? And so she pops open the eye, and she lands inside it, and an eye is full of liquid. Yeah. So she's just sort of swimming there. And this is when, I don't know what the song is, but it's a great song for this moment. The rats start crawling in through the eye, and they swim to the back of the eye, and leading the group is Sebastian in his vest, who waves at Harley on the way past, and they start biting through the membrane behind the eye and into Starro's brain. That's so great. It's gross and disgusting and beautiful, and I love it. And so the rats are eating Starro's brain from the inside, and as Starro is thrashing about, and as Starro is dying, right. One of the minions the people covered by a starfish.
Yeah, that was the president.
Yeah, that's the Generalissimo dude.
The general Suarez. I was happy floating, staring at the stars.
I was happy once floating, staring at the stars.
Yeah.
And then Starro collapses and dies, and all the people die.
Yeah.
Like all who were connected to Starro, because they were corpses reanimated by Starro. Right. And so now the whatever they did earlier with the explosions has like brought them back. Mm-hmm. So Starro is dead, and they're all walking away, and Bloodsport. I always have trouble with his name.
I don't know.
Bloodsport, sends some pictures of American scientists experimenting on Starro and setting up Jotunheim. To Waller, and it's like, I've uploaded it to a secure server. We go free, that stays hidden.
Yeah.
That's the deal. Like, and my daughter never sees the inside of a jail cell.
Right.
And Waller's like, you got a deal, goddammit. I said I would forge you into a leader, and it looks like I did.
Yeah.
And it's true, she did.
Yeah. So
they're all, the surviving members are going to go free. And as they're walking away, here comes King Shark. He goes, I thought nom-noms. Mm-hmm. So King Shark lives. Yay!
Yeah.
And so the movie ends with, our team going free and Starro destroyed. And the final shot is a news report of, a group of supervillains successfully fought and defeated this giant monster and saved a city and a country full of millions of people. Mm-hmm. And it's the guy's daughter, Bloodsport's daughter, watching it. It's like, that's my dad!
Yeah.
And that's just this really cool, moment.
There was like a little ride back, too. There was something that it was happening during that scene. Mm-hmm. Whenever she called on all those rats to help out that situation, but there was this little backstory for her father. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why would you use rats of all things? Like, they're the lowest creatures with and if they have a purpose, and so do we all pretty much.
Yeah.
And he's played by Taika Waititi.
Yeah. I love that.
He was Hitler in Jojo Rabbit, also directed Jojo Rabbit. He's, of course...
He's Korg.
He was Korg
in
Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah,
and he also directed Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, and he was also Korg in Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah. What We Do in the Shadows, Hunt for the Winter People. Like he's
he's one of my favorite filmmakers, and he's really good, and I really like him. He's a good actor too.
Yeah, definitely. But there's this great scene, at like the end. Like they go up into this helicopter basically, and they all start to fall asleep pretty much, and then Bloodsport is just sitting there, and then Sebastian is just like on his knee, just like trying to cuddle up, and then he was like, oh god, but he's still petting him.
Yeah, the hand moves real slow and is shaking, but he's petting Sebastian.
And like the song that was played, because there's like I have moments of whenever some of these songs are playing, but this one is so busted by culture abuse, and that lyric was like, I just want to be loved by you pretty much, while he's petting the rat, and he was like,
it is a really good moment.
It was so precious,
Yeah. So yeah, this was a great movie.
Yeah.
This was super good.
Yeah, I'm super entertained by it. This is definitely reaching towards the territory for me, which
I would give this movie a good solid 9.
Yeah.
Good solid 9.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it perfect, because I'm sure that there are, like, I wish Captain Boomerang had a bigger role and he hadn't killed him off. And some of the villains are a little one note.
Yeah.
But like I said, take anything I say bad about this movie as just like, okay, well, that wasn't, as phenomenal as the rest of this movie.
Like, Amanda Waller has been the villain of this film, basically. Like, she knew that group that Rick Flag was in were
the
resistance. They were the resistance. Like, she knew that, which is why she told them. I was like, oh yeah, no, he is, he's been kidnapped.
He's been captured by the enemy. Leave no one alive.
By the enemy, yeah. Like, she's such a bitch. Like, I really don't like her.
She's terrible.
Yeah, I know. And she like Viola Davis, will always play Amanda Waller for me. Like, it was so perfect. She does that edge of her, to perfection.
I
just love this movie. I'm definitely gonna buy it whenever it gets out on home release.
So you said you give this movie a 9 pushing 10?
Yeah, 9 pushing 10.
I give this movie a good solid 9, pushing 9.5.
Yeah.
It's not as good as Spider-Verse for me, but it's up there. This is up there as one of my favorite superhero films. Like I said, it's fighting for second place. And
yeah, definitely.
When, and I love superhero movies a lot, and it's fighting for second and would be fighting for first with a bullet if Spider-Verse didn't touch me like on a deep level.
Yeah.
Right? So, definitely 100%. It might still be playing
in theaters,
in theaters where you are. If it's not, then wait for it to come out on Blu-ray and watch this movie. This is. I'll be buying the Blu-ray. Keith's going to be buying the Blu-ray. This is going to be friggin' awesome.
Yeah, this is worth it for sure.
Yeah.
This is definitely worth like multiple viewings.
Like,
definitely like a party situation.
I've seen this movie 4 times, and every time I saw new stuff to be entertained by.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of background details, and this is what James Gunn is really good at: is the background stuff.
Yeah.
And all kinds of little movements and background details, like in the scene where they are sneaking through the camp, and they're like, okay, we got to be stealthy. So King Shark is sneaking, but he's like sneaking like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah, sneaking in the background.
He's got like his hands up and he's like prancing.
Yeah,
it's so great. It's the cutest shit. Yeah, it's hilarious. I love it.
Like watching this film, there were several moments where I thought King Shark had like bit it. You know, I thought King Shark was gonna die. At several points in time. Like I was fairly certain Harley Quinn was gonna live, and I was pretty sure Bloodsport and/or Ratcatcher were going to live, just because they built up that dynamic. Pretty well. But that's another thing I wanted to make mention of too. Like Ratcatcher is the heart of this film. Like, she wasn't really like a bad person per se, but she has this little crime where rats are considered part of a weapon to for robbing a bank, so on and so forth. So that's where that comes from. But I just love this movie. So
it's so good. 100% recommended. 100%.
Yeah.
So anyway, James Gunn is a great director. I cannot think of a bad movie he's made.
Yeah.
And this is among his best. And that includes the Guardians of the Galaxy films, which are really high up in my estimation. So,
definitely, yeah.
A lot of the scenes from this movie were obviously like workshopped in Guardians. Like the big starfish monster was like the opening scene from Guardians 2, was they fought basically Star the Conqueror, but the Marvel version. And it wasn't as well realized as it was in this movie. Yeah. It was this is great on-screen presentation of Star the Conqueror.
Yeah, like they had a lot of time to really build up, this fight and like.
Yeah, they Starro is one of those characters that is you can either go super camp or super like eldritch horror with it, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know how, but he walked the line.
Yeah.
Like the color scheme is purple and green and happy for Starro, but like what he does is just the most horrific shit ever.
Yeah.
And I don't know how James Gunn walked that line, but by God, he fucking did it.
He did it.
And I loved every second of it.
Do you have any other last minute notes?
Go do this movie.
Yeah.
Put James Gunn in charge of Suicide Squad 3 if there's a third one. Like I'm down for that. This has not only sold me on the Suicide Squad, this has sold me on the DC movie universe.
Yeah.
That's how good this movie was.
Definitely. Yeah, and like I enjoyed the Snyder version, of Justice League 2. So that's another, good reason to get involved with the DC universe.
The only thing that I would say that I would have done that this movie didn't do is at the very end, I would have had Superman, whether Henry Cavill or the guy who played him in Shazam, show up, see the dead monster, and be like, "Oh, okay," and leave.
Yeah,
but that's
I mean, Superman's in the hospital. You remember, because Bloodsport hit him with
kryptonite bullet. Yeah. Oh, they even referenced that shit. Yeah. Damn it, James Gunn is better at this than I am.
Yeah, that's why he gets paid the big bucks.
He does. And that's why I get paid the no bucks.
The no bucks. the no bucks.
Yeah,
coming to you soon.
Yeah, exposure dollars.
But yeah, a couple of little last minute things I wanted to mention too. Yeah. Like at the end of the movie, there was 2 little endings. Like, one, Weasel is alive.
Oh yeah, yeah. The final scene right before the credits roll is cuts back to the beach. the night they all got there, but everything is like died away.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Weasel's dead body coughs up a bunch of seawater. And he sits up and looks around and is like, ah! Yeah. And then just sort of stalks off into the woods.
Yeah. Another one, of course, the people in the office, Steve Agee and then like somebody else,
the girl who hit Waller with the golf club.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't her actually. The girl who hit Waller with the golf club is a little bit older. The girl who was with Steve Agee was blonde, a little bit younger. She's going to be in this show, which I'm going to mention. It's Peacemaker. Oh. Because Peacemaker is alive.
Ah.
He's in the hospital. Like, well, I guess we're going to have to get him to save the world or something,
Yeah, what did you need him for anyway? Oh, only to save the fucking world.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see where that's going to go, especially...
That's a TV show?
It's going to be.
I did not know that. I thought they were teasing in another movie.
No, that's going to be... Yeah. It's going to be at some point next year, starting out.
Oh, God, I hope they get John Cena for it.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it's perfect. So
I gotta say, John Cena might be my favorite part of this movie. Like, just as an actor.
Yeah.
Just because he has such good comedic timing that it borders on how the hell was this guy not a movie star before this?
Yeah.
Like, this is amazing how good he was in this role.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Last thing, in the beginning of the film, whenever they were going over the B Squad pretty much with them dying, there's a song that plays in the background called People Who Die by the Jim Carroll Band. But while this is happening, there are little shots on the computer screen and it was like, terminated, dead, so on and so forth. But there is one character that says they're in critical condition, and I didn't see, this is like a theory sort of thing. So it's not really confirmed or denied whether or not this is happening or not, but somebody else survived the whole shootout situation, and that is TDK.
Really?
Possibly, maybe he was just in critical condition.
I would love to see him show up as Nathan Fillion, completely, like, I hope if they do it in a movie, they don't advertise it at all. Yeah. It's a complete surprise, and he's the villain. Like, he shows up, and there's like, all of a sudden, in the middle of the next Batman movie or whatever, suddenly an arm just reaches out and slaps him across the face. And there's TDK. That's what I want to see.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, I hope that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, we could go on about this movie for another, 2 hours.
Yeah.
But I think we have reached the point where we're going to start repeating ourselves.
I think so, too. Yeah, we've said everything that needs to be said.
So, this has been The Suicide Squad. And my name is Brian.
My name is Keith.
And this has been the Doop Movie Podcast, guys.
We will see you next time.
Thanks for watching.